Please let me know. Is my screen is also visible now?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Right. So good morning to all of you. I hope you all are doing well.
Good morning, sir.
Yes. Good morning. Good morning. So sorry for you troubling you on Sunday because yesterday I couldn't take the class, so I was in traveling. So that's why I requested Rajesh sir to at least give me some 2-3 hours on Sunday. So we'll be having a class up to 10. So I think we have already started with our chapter number 2 and we are on the process of winding up also. And what are the topics we are already done with everyone? We are done with the meaning of audit planning, advantages of audit planning, features of the audit planning. We are done with the overall audit strategy. What are the things to be done in the audit strategy? What are the factors to be considered while making the audit strategy? And along with that, I think we have started with the audit program also, if I'm not wrong. Right, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So let us have a brief discussion on that so that we can continue our next like today's class. So everyone, please tell me, audit planning is all about what? Audit planning is all about what? It is all about acquiring the knowledge of client's business. Am I correct or not? It is all about acquiring the knowledge of client's business so that auditor can do his audit properly. Are you getting the point? Efficiently, effectively, and timely basis. So that auditor can do his audit efficiently, effectively, and timely basis. Now, what do you mean by acquiring the knowledge of client's basis, everyone? Tell me, please. Acquiring the knowledge of client's business is all about acquiring the internals of the client or inside, outside, both information.
Both information.
Both information. So, do we acquire the knowledge of its environment also? Yes.
Yes.
We acquire the knowledge of his entity also? Yes. We acquire the knowledge of accounting policies, his operations, his industry, products of creditors and customers, each and every inside, outside, each and every inch of knowledge one should have. That is what do you mean by knowledge of client's business. After that, we started with the audit, overall audit strategy. What do you mean by overall audit strategy? Strategy is all about acquiring the knowledge of client's business or managing your resources.
Managing your
Managing your
resources.
resources. Yes. Making a good team of experts and professionals, allocating the work to them, and deciding the timing of doing that work, and most importantly, having the briefing and debriefing meetings, right or not? And then we talked about what are the factors to be kept in mind when we are making the overall strategy. Now, tell me one thing, when we are making the overall audit strategy, do you have to take care of characteristics of the engagement? Yes, we have to understand the characteristics of engagement, how many branches you are auditing, how many whatever locations you are going to do, what is the area of expertise required, what is your audit coverage, what is your professional judgment saying, what was your past experience with the client. All that helps the auditor in making a overall audit strategy. So my question is very simple, everyone. Try to give me the answer. When we are giving the work, when we are giving the work, do we need to make discussions with our audit teamwork? Do we need to discuss our things with our client? Tell me, everyone. Do we need to discuss our strategy and planning with our client wholly or
Not every
partially?
time.
Yes. It should not be wholly, it should be partially. What to discuss, what not to discuss, that depends upon the situation. Now, can I discuss the timing of doing the audit with my client?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes.
Yes, but can I discuss what I'm going to do in that timing?
No.
No. Otherwise, the client will become more attentive, more alert, and my whole audit procedures and techniques will become predictable, and the whole audit, which should be fruitful, will turn out to be a fruitless audit, right? That point also we discussed. Next point. Should we always keep on directing and supervising our team and engagement team or not? Yes, it is very much necessary, right or not? But what are the factors which will help you in deciding whether the direction of and supervision of the team should be more or higher? Tell me one thing. The factor number one, risk of material misstatements. Yes. Area of audit where my team is engaged. Yes. Expertise of the team. Yes, all these factors, matters or not, these are the four factors I'm talking about, everyone. Tell me one thing, if I'm engaging my team to the larger organization, and whose business is very complex, do I need to direct and supervise their work?
Yes.
Yes. And if they are doing the audit in a very risky area, supervision and direction will be higher or lower?
Higher.
Higher. And tell me one thing, if my engagement team is less competent, less qualified, and then again, direction and supervision will be higher or lower?
Higher.
Higher, right? Then, documentation of audit plan and strategy. Should we always keep on writing our plan and strategy?
Yes.
Yes. What are the four things to be written, everyone? We should write our plan, we should write our strategy, we should write our changes in the plan and strategy, and we should also make a note of what are the reasons for those changes. Am I correct or not? Yes. And why do we need it? Because if you will make a note of current year plan, next year when you will start doing the client's audit, don't you think that it will serve as a guide for the future audit? Yes, it will serve as a guide for the future audit. And it will also help the auditor in understanding कि last year when the risks came in front of me, how I responded to those risks. Are you getting the point? Then delegation and supervision of work. So my simple question to everyone, whether SA 220 prohibits you to delegate the work to an expert or audit staff, or it allows you? It allows us. But when the standard is allowing us, does it make a meaning that we are not going to be responsible for their work, or we should keep on directing and supervising the work of the person to whom we have delegated the work? Should we supervise and direct their work? Yes, we have to supervise. Now tell me, just because we have delegated some work to someone, can I say that that work is that person's responsibility? So that person should be hanged. I should not be responsible. Can I escape from my responsibility of expressing an opinion?
No.
No, I cannot escape from my responsibility of expressing an opinion. And at the same point of time, SA 220 says that either you are delegating the work or you are not delegating the work. Quality control system shall always be maintained in your firm. That is what we have understood. Now, I think that was a topic. And then everyone, please tell me, what do you mean by audit program? Is it a thing which comes before planning and strategy, or it is a last step of audit planning and strategy? Last step. So can I say that audit program is a detailed extension of audit plan? Yes, it is all about documenting what? Your audit procedures and audit techniques so that you can achieve what? Audit objectives, right? Now, it is useful for smaller entities or larger entities? Larger entities. And it includes the various verification steps. It includes the various verification steps which we are going to apply on the financial statements and books of accounts so that we can collect the audit evidence so that I can make the informed opinion. And very important 3 points we understood on that day, whether one audit program is suitable for all types of businesses or different audit program for the different businesses.
Different
Different
audit.
Yes, yes, because every business is different in its accounting system, is different in its internal control system, is different in its manpower, is different in its efficiency and effectiveness. Therefore, one audit program is impracticable to be used in every client's business. Am I correct or not? Second thing, should we keep our article assistants close-minded people or open-minded people?
Open-minded.
Open-minded people. Should we give them more audit program and more instructions, or less audit program and less instructions?
Less auditing.
Yes, less audit program and less instruction. Why we are not giving them more audit program and more instruction? So that we can motivate them, so that we can push them to be more innovative, more creative, and we should give a little bit of freedom to them so that they can, drop the irrelevant things and can insert the relevant things. Everyone, I hope all of you understood. We had a huge discussion on this point also. Whenever you are hiring an article assistant and whenever you are taking their help in doing the audit, make sure that you are telling them to do the audit as per their open-mindedness, not mechanical in nature. And one more point, everyone. Should we keep the audit program same as it is every year, or we should keep on reviewing and bringing the changes every year?
Reviewing change.
Yes, we should keep on reviewing it and we should keep on bringing the changes in that. I hope till now everyone is having the complete topic inside your head. Yes, everyone? Chalo. Let us proceed with the today's topic, everyone. So in the okay, yeah. So today's topic, everyone. What is the today's topic? How to develop the audit program. How do we make the audit program? Point number one. I hope all of you are able to see the material in front of you. So everyone, please tell me what is the point number one the lawmaker is trying to tell you. Point number one says that audit program is oral in nature or written in nature. Written in nature. So remember one thing, audit program is nothing but not a different thing. What we have thought in our mind, when we put our mind on a piece of paper, it becomes what? Audit program, right? Now, what are the things to be written in the audit program? Audit program should write my audit objectives and instructions to my assistants. Are you getting the point or not? I will give you a very simple question, everyone. Please try to give me the answer. Suppose there is my article assistants, and to those article assistants, I said something orally. Do you remember the same example I asked you in the previous session also to the Komal and Manav, I think? So
Yes.
if I am giving the instructions orally, and next day when you're coming to me after following those instructions, now is it possible for me to fix your responsibility?
No.
No, because orally there is no evidence for that. But if I'll give you the audit program, like various verification steps, this is what you have to do, this is what you have to do. I generated the two copies of that. One I give it to you, and another one is there with me. Next day, if you are coming to my office without doing those things, can I fix your responsibility then?
Yes.
Yes. So that is what the point number two, everyone. Audit objective and instructions to the assistants, right or not? Now, tell me one thing, guys, whether the internal control system plays a very important role in doing an audit.
Yes, sir.
Yes, highly important role. If my client's internal control system, accounting system is highly very much efficient, then tell me what should be my workload?
It will
It will
reduce.
be reducing. And if it is completely unethical, inefficient, and incompetent, then what will be my workload? It will be increasing. That is what reliance on the internal controls, everyone. What is the next point? Timings of performance of audit procedure. Remember one thing, whenever we are planning our audit, whenever we are strategizing, and whenever we are programming our audit, keep one thing very important in your head. Adding what procedures and what not, that is not important. But what is the timing when you're going to apply those procedures? That is very important. So let me give you one simple example. I hope all of you remember I told you one concept of interim audit. Can anybody tell me what do you mean by interim audit?
Audit between two final
Two
audits.
financial audits. Now tell me, is it carried out quarterly or not?
Yes.
Yes, it is carried out quarterly, quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, quarter four, right or not? Now listen to this question carefully and give me the answer. When the quarter end will end, everyone? Quarter end will end from April to June. So this is July to September. This is October to December, and this is January to March. Am I correct, everyone? Yes. So when the quarter one is ending, as an interim auditor, are you going between the quarter, or are you going in the quarter, or are you going after the quarter is over?
After the quarter is
Yes,
over.
after the quarter is over. So, can I say that, say for example, ABC Limited is a listed company. ABC Limited is having 7 crores of idle cash. Now, ABC Limited already knows that that this interim auditor is going to come at the end of the quarter. So my question is, can the ABC Limited during April month, May month and June month utilize this idle cash rupees in a misutilized manner or not? Let me give you an example. Suppose the MD of the ABC Limited, what he did, he knows that ki Rohit sir as an internal auditor is going to come in the first week of July. So on the first week of April only, what he did, he withdrew the 7 crore rupees of cash from the company and put it in his personal bank account. So when he is putting the 7 crore rupees in his personal bank account, what is happening, everyone? Is it the company's money or MD's personal money?
Company's money.
Company's money. Now for the next 3 months, he continued to keep that money in his bank account. In the last week of June, what he did, he withdrew the money 7 crores from his bank account and put it in the bank account of the company. Now, after 1 week, the auditor is coming as an interim auditor. Now, tell me one thing, when the auditor is checking the balance sheet, cash is being shown in the balance sheet or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, but was it being utilized by the company or utilized by the MD for personal purpose?
MD for personal.
Auditor will never come to know ki what is happening to that cash. Am I correct or not?
Yes.
So tell me, what is the best way to identify these kind of frauds and errors? Going always doing your audit in the same pattern what you are doing, or you should keep on changing your audit planning?
Keep on
Keep
changing.
on changing. Now tell me, if I want to catch this fraud of 7 crore rupees, should I pay one surprise check visit between the April and June month or not?
Yes.
Yes. So then I will come to know ki whether cash is being actually being kept in company or kept in the MD's office. So tell me one thing, surprise check. When I did the surprise check, did I come to know about the fraud or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So my question is very simple. What was more important? Surprise check or timing of doing the surprise check?
Timing
Time.
of
Yes, timing of doing the surprise check. If the same surprise check, I will do it on the 4th, 5th, or 7th July. Is it of any use or no use?
No use.
No use. But if I'm doing it in the either in the month of April, June, or May, then it is of use or not?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So everyone, that is what the lawmaker is trying to tell you here in the point number 4. Read the point number 4 heading. Timing of performance of audit procedures. It doesn't matter what procedures you are applying or not. I'm not saying it doesn't matter. It matters what procedures and techniques you are applying. But what matters the most is when you are applying, that matters the most. So it's not what we apply. It's about when we apply. Am I correct, everyone? Yes, it's not what we apply. It's about when we apply, everyone. I hope all of you are understanding whatever I'm trying to tell you.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now, tell me one thing. Is audit planning a continuous process or it's a, what do you say, discontinued process?
Continuous process.
Yes, it's a continuous process. When the one audit ends, the another audit automatically starts or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, that's what is being written over here. So the audit planning ideally commenced at the conclusion of the previous year audit and along with the related program. It should be considered for modification as audit progresses. It is based on auditor's review of internal controls and result of his compliance and procedure. Now, next thing what we have to understand, everyone, please tell me, what are the advantages of the audit program? Can I say that advantages of the audit program are the same as the advantages of the audit planning?
Yes.
Tell me why.
Because program is
yeah,
after planning.
very nice. Program is nothing but the extension of what?
Planning.
Planning only. Are you getting the point or not? Chalo, still we will be in a position to read it out. Point number 1. It provides the assistant total and clear set of instructions of work to be done. Tell me one thing. When I'm telling them orally, some instructions, and when I'm giving them audit program of instructions, which one is better, everyone?
Second one.
Second one, audit program. Does it give them a complete clarity of the instructions or not?
Yes.
Yes. Next one. It is essential to provide total perspective of the work to be done. Now, sometimes क्या होता है, orally you may remember the things, you may not remember the things. But when you have something in writing, when the instructions are there in front of you in writing, will you be able to do each and everything properly or not?
Yes.
Yes. Next one. Selection of assistants on the basis of capability becomes easier when the work is rationally planned, defined, and segregated. Now, say for example, when I gave you the detailed instructions and you came to me, with that work. Now, some 10 articles are there in front of me. So, this article has done his work, this has done, all the 10 have done their work. But some articles have done the work very properly. Some articles have done the work not that properly, inefficiently. So, can I make a segregation of capable assistants and incapable assistants with the help of audit program? Yes. So point number one, what did it say? Point number one says that you can easily clear the set of instruction. Point number two says that your total perspective of the work to be done is easily. And point number three says that you can select the assistants on the basis of capability. Point number four, under a properly framed program, the danger of ignoring or overlooking certain books and records is significantly less and the audit can proceed systematically. Now, when I gave you the 20 instructions, and in that 20 instructions, one of the instruction is please verify GST returns monthly. Now tell me, next day when you come to my office, can I ask you, did you verify the GST returns monthly or not?
Yes.
So
Yes,
GST
sir.
is an important item or a non-important item?
Important.
Can you ignore that when it was in writing?
No.
No, you can't ignore that. Next one. The assistants, by putting up their signature on the program, accept the responsibility of the work carried out by them. So my question is, this is a major difference between the planning and the audit program, where you can fix your staff responsibility. Audit program, whereas you cannot put the staff responsibility fixed in case of what? Audit planning. Because in the audit program, when you are returning me the checklist of program after doing it, you have to sign on that. And your sign represents that you have verified all the steps. Am I correct or not?
Yes.
Yes. So in the future, if I'll come to know that some of the things you have ignored, can I ask you to come to me and can I yell at you or can I fix your responsibility in that case or not? Yes, very much possible. So this is what the advantages of what? Audit program. What is the next advantages of audit program? The principal can control the progress of the various audits in hand by examining of audit programs. Say for example, I gave you the 1 week audit program. Now in the 1 week, how much you would have done the audit as an article assistant? Can I ask you on the third day to come to a office and report me?
Yes.
Yes, you came to my office on the third day and I asked you, okay, I gave you 20 items. How many items you have done? You said that, sir, almost 11 items are over. So can I say that according to the time, your audit program is going smoothly or not? Yes, so
Yes.
I can have a control over the progress of the audit while doing the audit program. Serves as a guide for the audits to be carried out in the succeeding year. That we already know. Does it serve as a guide for the future audits?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it serves as a guide because it is in writing. A properly drawn up audit program serves as an evidence in the event of any charge of negligence being brought. So I can write it as self-defensing tool. Now, very simple question, everyone. In 2018-19, I did the audit of one client. Now today, that is 7th March 2021, that client comes to me and says that, Rohit, do you know what has happened in my office? Income tax raid has happened. I said, okay, sir, that is a very bad news. That income tax raid has happened because of your poor audit skills. Then I got shocked. Why he is putting the charges on me? In the year 18-19, you have not done my audit properly. That's the reason income tax department is asking me to verify their 18-19 financial year. Now tell me one thing. Will I go to my cupboard, open the cupboard of 18-19 of that client and take out that file, and after that taking out that file, my audit program is in writing fixed in that file or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Can I take out that copy and show it to my client? Ki this is what all the things I have done. Don't dare to tell me that I was gross negligent. Tell me, am I able to defend myself in front of my client or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Sir.
So it also acts as a which tool, everyone? It acts as a self-defensing tool. Clear, everyone? So try to remember all the advantages and try to tell me whether it helps you in setting out the clear instructions. Yes. Whether it helps you in doing the prospective work to be done or not. Yes.
Yes.
Whether it helps you in selecting the assistants on the basis of their capabilities. Yes.
Yes.
Whether it helps you in not ignoring the important areas. Yes. Yeah, whether it helps you in fixing the responsibility of your audit staff by putting their signatures on the audit program. Yes.
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 It also helps me in tracking or tracing the progress of an audit. Yes. It serves as a guide for the which audit, future audit, and most importantly, it acts as a which tool, everyone? Self-defensing tool.
Yes.
But at the same point of time, there are some disadvantages. What is the first and the biggest disadvantage of audit program? Try to tell me, everyone. Does it make your audit
Mechanical.
creative or mechanical?
Mechanically.
Yes, very nice. Now read the point number one, everyone, carefully. The work may become mechanical and particular parts of the program may be carried out without any understanding of the object of such parts in the whole audit scheme. You are doing the audit as an audit assistant, but you don't know why you are doing the audit because you became a machine. Your employer has given you some instructions. You are following that instructions because your employer wants to see whether the work done is proper or not. So you are working like a machine, but you don't know why you are working. So that is a disadvantage number one. It makes your whole audit mechanical, and sometimes the audit staff will not be having an understanding the object of doing that audit. Point number two. Audit program often tends to be what? Rigid and what is the word written? Inflexible. Because when you write something, see, when you have something in your mind, you can easily change your mind. But when you have your mind process or mind planning on a piece of paper, whether it is easy to change what is written in writing or difficult to change?
Difficult to change.
Difficult to change. So that makes audit program little bit more rigid and little bit more inflexible. Are you getting the point? The business may change in its operation of the conduct, but the old program may still be carried on. Changes in the staff or internal control may render the precaution necessary at the points different from those originally decided upon. So do you remember that's the reason we told that key reviewing of audit program is required at regular intervals or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, that is what the point number one we already told about that. Now, what is the disadvantage number three, everyone? Inefficient assistants may take shelter behind the program, defend deficiencies in their work on the ground that no instruction in the matter is contained therein. Now, tell me one thing. It's a very simple question. I told you in one audit program, verify GST returns. Are you getting the point? Now, listen to this example, very funny example. One of the article assistant went to the client's place and he started verifying the GST return. 2-3 months GST returns he verified and came back next day in my office. So I asked my article assistant, did you verify the GST returns or not? Yes, sir, I verified the GST returns. Show me the proof. You have verified. 2-3 GST returns copy he brought and he said that, sir, this is what I verified. Now I'm very furious. I'm very angry. I told him to verify the GST returns. When I'm telling you to verify the GST returns, is it the 2-3 GST returns you should have been verified or all the GST returns?
All the years.
Now tell me, I told him, where are the remaining 8 months GST returns? You are only showing me 4 months GST returns. Sir, you told us only to verify the GST returns. Nowhere in the audit program it was written that कि verify all months GST returns. Now tell me what that article assistant is trying to do, everyone. Is he trying to take shelter behind the program and trying to hide his inefficiencies or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes. He is simply saying that, sir, where it is written that all GST returns. Now tell me one thing. It means he does not have a good knowledge about the GST returns. If whenever we go for the examination of GST returns, we should examine all monthly returns, not some returns. Did you get the point or not? So read the point number C, everyone. Inefficient assistants may take the shelter behind the program, that is, defend their deficiencies in their work on the ground that no instruction in the matter is so contained. So what are the three bigger disadvantages of the audit program? We understood, everyone. First one, it makes your audit very what in nature? Mechanical in nature. Point number two, it is very much rigid and inflexible, and if you are using the old audit program, there will be so many changes in the business and that will make our audit fruitless. And point number three, article assistants will try to take the shelter in the name of audit program to hide their inefficiencies and deficiencies. And what is the biggest disadvantage? A hard and a fast audit program may kill the initiative of efficient and enterprising assistants. Now, what do you mean by hard and fast audit program? Now, when I'll give you an instruction that don't dare to apply your own mind. Whatever is written in the paper, follow that only. Now tell me, did I kill your initiatives or not?
Yes, sir.
Now, even though while sitting at the client's place, you want to do something differently, but can you do now or you can't do it?
Can't do
Can't
it.
do it because I give you the hard instructions and fast instructions that follow the audit program which I am giving to you. As simple as that. So these are the advantages and these are the disadvantages of the audit program, everyone. I hope all of you understood clearly, everyone.
Yes.
Yes, so that brings an end to our audit program also. And today we'll be starting with a very important standard, another standard called SA 320 audit materiality. But before that, let us write that and you all are going to help me in that. Tell me, everyone, what are the advantages of the audit program and what are the disadvantages of the audit program? First, tell me the advantages, and along with that, tell me the disadvantages. Tell me, everyone, what are the advantages of the audit program? Point number one. Tell me, try to remember what are the advantages. It helps out, it helps in setting out clear instructions of the audit. Am I correct, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Instructions of audit. It helps in setting out clear instructions of audit. Point number two, it helps in fixing the responsibility of audit staff.
Yes, sir.
Yes, responsibility of audit staff. Point number three, it helps in checking progress of an audit.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So I am writing in a very simplified language so that you can retain it. Because sometimes people, they get very, what do you say, feared of reading the language of the material. So my responsibility is to make you understand the language of the material and after that trying to write that in our own simplified language so that you all can understand and retain it easily. Point number four, does it helps as a self-defensing tool?
Yes, sir.
Acts as a
Yes.
self-defensing tool. So can I protect myself against the charges of gross negligence put up by the client? Yes.
Yes.
So serves as a guide for which audit, everyone?
Future audit.
Yes, very nice. I hope now these are looking easier to you.
Yes, sir.
Serves as a guide for future audit. Point number six, everyone. Less ignorance of important sections of audit. Am I correct or not? Important areas of audit. So these many are the advantages of the audit program, everyone. Tell me first disadvantage of the audit program. Makes audit what in nature?
Mechanical.
Mechanical in nature. Mechanical in nature. Makes audit mechanical in nature. Point number 2.
It do not help to
Hard and fast audit.
Yes.
Hard and fast audit kills what?
initiative mind.
Yes, initiative minds, and
Create.
what do you say? Initiative minds and
Create.
creativity
Creativity.
of audit assistants. Next point. Point number 3, everyone. It becomes rigid and what? Inflexible
Mm.
sometimes. Correct, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And what is the 4th disadvantage? Tell me, what is the 4th disadvantage, everyone? The 4th
Taking the shelter.
Very nice, very nice. The inefficient employees, inefficient employees or assistants will try to take shelter behind audit program. To hide their deficiencies. So I hope up to this point there is no doubt at all in this whole chapter. Yes or no? So over 80% of the chapter is over, everyone. So we understood in detail everything about the audit planning, audit strategy, and now we have wound up our topic called what? Audit program. Now we are going to learn what do you mean by SA 320. What is 320, everyone? Audit materiality. Audit materiality. Everyone, please understand one thing. What do you understand by the term called materiality? First of all, try to learn this concept. There is one word called materiality in your portion, and in the 700 series, when we'll start the audit report chapter, there you will find one word called pervasive, sorry. These two words, if you can understand today, then in that case, let me tell you one thing, journey of your auditing concepts will become very easy. Remember, everyone, what do you mean by the term called materiality and what do you mean by the term called pervasiveness? Materiality means any item or transaction in financial statements, any item or transaction in the financial statement which in which in whose judgment?
Auditors.
Auditor's judgment is highly significant, highly significant, highly significant and important for decision making of users of financial statement. Everyone try to concentrate on this part which I'm trying to tell you. Everyone please tell me what is the word I have used. Each and every word we have to understand here. Point number 1. What is the point number 1? Any item or transaction in financial statement, everyone. Any item or transaction in the financial statement. It means materiality concept is also connected with what? Financial statements, not books of accounts. Are you getting the point? Any item which the auditor saw in the financial statement And after that, his judgment tells to him that it is highly significant and highly what? Important. But not for him. From whose point of view? User's point of view. So remember one thing, everyone. Materiality is something which is very important and very significant item in the financial statement, but it is not that much important or that much significant from auditor's point of view. But yes, auditor thinks that yes, my users deserves to know that it is very much important and very much significant from the user's point of view. I will ask you a very simple thing, everyone, to make you understand this concept practically. Say, for example, you went to one client's place. Now, when you went to one client's place, you saw that there is a 10,000 rupees of cash fraud. Are you getting the point? How much is the fraud amount, everyone? 10,000. Clients books of accounts are showing, 80 crores of turnover. What is the turnover of the client? 80 crores. So I can say that the client is very huge client. 80 crores of client, but there is a small fraud of 10,000 rupees. Now tell me one thing, everyone. This fraud is ignorable from the auditor's point of view or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So
No, sir.
no. It is ignorable from the auditor's point of view because fraud is not that big. But can the auditor ignore it from the user's point of view? No. See, from the auditor's point of view, fraud amount is very less. It will not affect his decision making. He will still say that the company's affairs are true and fair. Are you getting the point? Because that fraud is completely ignorable. But tell me one thing, fraud is fraud. Therefore, auditor has to ensure that at least the information about this fraud shall be given to my users of financial statement. Am I correct or not?
Yes.
Because if he will completely ignore this fraud today of 10,000 rupees, is there any guarantee that tomorrow it will not be 1 crore?
No.
Yes or no? No guarantee. So it's good that what the auditor does that, okay, from my point of view, it is fine. I will still give you the true and fair opinion, but don't expect me to hide it from my users. I will definitely tell it to the shareholders. I will definitely bring it to the notice of the management. I'll definitely bring it to the notice of lenders. If this fraud has happened, irrespective of the fact what is the amount involved in that. That is, what do you mean by materiality, everyone? So tell me one thing. Here we checked the materiality from auditor's point of view or user's point of view? User's point of view. Now read the whole sentence, everyone. Read it out loudly. The whole concept.
Any item or transaction in financial statement which in auditor's judgment is highly significant and important for decision making of users of financial statement.
Yes. So auditor's judgment says that it is highly significant and highly important for the decision making of the users of financial statement, not auditor of financial statement. Now, some items which are highly important from users financial statement as well as auditor's judgment is also getting changed. That is known as pervasiveness, everyone. So remember one thing, what is pervasiveness? That item of financial statement which is not only going to affect users but also affecting whom? Auditor point of view. Also affecting auditor's point of view, everyone. Tell me, everyone, now same example I will take. 80 crores of turnover of the client. Now 10 crores of fraud has happened. Now tell me, is it a ignorable amount?
No.
No. Or it is non-ignorable amount now?
Non-ignorable.
So definitely my users deserves to know that fraud has happened. Am I correct or not?
Yes,
sir.
sir.
But at the same point of time, is the auditor going to give a true and fair opinion or he is going to give an adverse opinion?
True and fair.
But
What are you saying? Is the auditor going to give true and fair opinion? 10 crores of fraud, madam. 10 crores of fraud.
No, adverse opinion.
Yes, you are going to give an adverse opinion, negative opinion you are going to give now. So, matlab, it affected the users as well as whose judgment? Auditor. So, remember one thing, materiality and pervasiveness, both are very similar concepts. But materiality affects only the users of financial statement. Pervasiveness affects the users as well as whom?
Auditor.
Auditor. So, which one is a heavier word? Pervasive is the more
Pervasive.
heavier word as compared to what? Materiality. So, everyone, please tell me. I'm writing this sentence and tell me, do you agree or not? I'm writing this sentence. You let me know. Do you agree or not? Everything which is pervasive must be material, but everything which is material may or may not be pervasive. How many of you agree with that?
Yes, sir.
Yes or no? This is
Yes.
called the conclusion of our whole discussion of the last 5-10 minutes right now. Remember one thing,
Both is
everything, yes, everything which is pervasive, definitely has to be a material, because something which is affecting the auditor's judgment definitely going to affect the user's judgment or not?
yes.
Yes. But something which is affecting the user's judgment may or may not affect whom? Auditor's judgment.
Auditor.
Right or not? Everything which is pervasive must be material, but everything which is material may or may not be what? Pervasive in nature. Clear, everyone? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So that brings an end to your discussion of the background of this standard. So this is what we are going to learn in this standard, how auditor understands that something is material and something is not material. So that is what the major meaning of this standard. So let us understand, everyone, what do you mean by materiality concept. Now see, remember one thing, everyone, planning and materiality are husband and wife to each other. Planning and materiality are husband wife to each other. They are inseparable. Wherever the word planning will come, materiality will come. Rather, though, I will say that materiality comes before planning only. Materiality comes before planning only. It means, sir, do we have something before the planning? Yes, that is called materiality. Tell me one thing. Are you going to plan immaterial things or material things?
Material things.
Material things. So tell me what you are deciding first. You are deciding materiality first. On the basis of that, you are planning it. Are you getting the point or not?
Yes, sir.
So planning comes first or materiality comes first?
Materiality.
Materiality comes first. So that is the reason these two standards, SA 300 and 320, has to be done together. Crystal clear, everyone?
Yes.
Yes. So everyone start reading the point number 1 along with me so that you all can have the understanding. Materiality is an important consideration of an auditor to evaluate whether the financial statement reflect a true and fair view or not. Again repeating, materiality is an important consideration of auditor to evaluate whether financial statement reflect true and fair view or not. Do you all agree with that?
Yes.
Yes. Point number 2. SA 320. What is the name of the standard, everyone? Materiality in planning and performing the audit. So yes. So what is SA 320? Materiality in planning and performing the audit requires that auditor should consider materiality and its relationship with the audit risk while conducting an audit. When planning the audit, the auditor considers what would make the financial statement information more materially misstated. The auditor preliminary assessment of materiality related to specific account balances and classes of transactions helps the auditor decide such question as whether the items to examine and whether to use sampling and analytical procedure. It's a very long point, but I will cut down to it short. They are saying that materiality and audit risk are also correlated. When you're planning an audit, auditor should consider how much financial information of the client is materially misstated. On the basis of that preliminary misstatement only, auditor will decide whether he has to go for a full checking or whether he has to go for a sampling checking. Very simple question to everyone. Suppose I went to the client's place on the very first day. When I went to the client's place on the very first day, I checked out that there are so many cameras installed in the building so that they can prevent the frauds and error. But when I went to their control room of cameras, out of 30 cameras, only 2 were working. 28 are completely not working cameras. Tell me one thing, is it a sign of good internal control system or poor?
Poor.
Now tell me, is it an important aspect to be ignored or important aspect to be considered by the auditor?
Important of consider.
Shall we ignore this aspect or shall we consider it?
Consider.
Okay, now on the basis of that, everyone please tell me the judgment as an auditor. Are you going to do sampling checking now or are you going to do full checking now?
Full checking.
Full checking now. Now read this whole paragraph till the time I'm coming. Just give me 2 minutes break. I have to do something. I'll be coming back in 2 minutes, okay? Am I audible and visible, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is what the meaning of materiality. I hope now you all got the background of the word called materiality, right? So materiality, first point what we have understood, is it after the planning or before the planning?
Before the plan.
Before the planning. Second thing, does the materiality is dependent upon the auditor's point of view or user's point of view?
User's point of view.
User's point of view. But who decides that whether users will get affected or not?
Auditor.
Auditor.
Auditor will decide. Now, if the risk in the financial statement is very high, if you think that the risk in the financial statement is very high, then in that case, what the auditor shall do? Auditor shall, with the help of materiality, the auditor is going to decide whether he has to do the sampling or analytical procedure. Remember, this is not the definition. This is just a simple paragraph given in front of you to make you understand the relationship between planning and materiality. Now, determine materiality and performance materiality when planning an audit. Now, see, what do you mean by performance materiality And what do you mean by that? Now, it's a very simple thing. There are so many items in the financial statement that affects the auditor's judgment or that may not affect the auditor's judgment. First of all, though, you have to decide, okay, I'm going to tell you in different manner. Suppose this is financial statement. Suppose this is financial statement. First of all, so you have to decide if financial statement में which items are material and which items are immaterial. That is what the first thing you have to decide in the financial statements. Are you getting the point? So you have to divide that financial statement into two parts: financial statement with material items and financial statements with which items? Immaterial items. After that, the auditor has to apply one performance materiality. Sir, what do you mean by performance materiality? Now listen to this very carefully. Now suppose I'm verifying sales. Everyone, please understand. Suppose I'm verifying sales. I told my client to bring the sales to me. When he brought the sales, I came to know that there are total 1 lakh invoices of sales. Now tell me, is it a small invoices, number of invoices to be checked, or large number of invoices?
Large number.
Large number. Now question is, I have a doubt now, how should I decide which invoice is important and which invoice is not important? मैं कैसे decide करूं? In that case, what I did, I applied one concept called performance materiality. Sir, what do you mean by performance materiality? Performance materiality is all about setting up a limit of transaction. Setting up a limit of transaction. Sir, what do you mean by that? I saw some
More
of the
than
invoices. I saw some of the invoices. Some invoices were of 1,000 rupees also, and some invoices were of 10 crores also. So some invoices were ranging in the crores and crores, and some invoices were ranging in thousands rupees also. So there is a huge variation in the invoices. So what I did, I made one limit. That limit was 1 lakh rupees. So I set up one limit, 1 lakh rupees. So any invoice which is less than 1 lakh rupee is immaterial invoice for me. And any invoice which is 1 lakh or more is material for me. Now tell me, basically, can I say that I did nothing but the filtration of my invoices? Yes or no? So less than 1 lakh rupees wale invoices, I'm going to check or I'm going to ignore?
Ignore.
Ignore. And more than equals to 1 lakh rupees of invoices, I'm going to what?
Check.
So tell me, did I increase my workload or reduce my workload?
Reduce.
Will I be able to do my audit efficiently and effectively and timely basis?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So this is what do you mean by performance materiality, everyone, which enhances the performance of an auditor. This is the technique we generally use when the number of items in the financial statement are so many, and you use this performance materiality so that you can segregate the immaterial items from the material items. Clear, everyone? This is what they mean by concept of performance materiality. Now see.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, what if it is what if it is in such a case where the number of invoices which are that 1 lakh or one
You are saying
crore,
that frauds
there are
and errors
very
might
less
be there.
number in the
They are less number, and then in that case again auditor will revise his limit.
okay.
Yeah, auditor will see, planning is something and materiality is something which are not absolute concepts. Remember, they are relative concepts. Keeps on changing.
Changing.
Yes, very nice. Now see,
Okay.
when establishing the overall audit strategy, read the whole sentence very carefully. When establishing the overall audit strategy, auditor shall determine the materiality for the financial statement as a whole. In the specific circumstances of the entity, there is one or more particular class of transactions, account balances, and disclosures for which the misstatements for lesser amount than the materiality for the financial statement as a whole could reasonably be expected to influence the economic decisions of whom? Users, taken on the basis of financial statement. In the whole sentence, they are saying nothing but, as I told you, I copied my material from the ISA material. It is my responsibility to tell you that some places where ISA material is a little bit vague. Vague means what? Unnecessary, prolonging of the sentence. The whole sentence which I have underlined in front of you, the meaning of this sentence is very carefully. They are saying that if whenever the auditor is making the overall audit strategy, it is the responsibility of the auditor to check out the financial statement in such a manner so that he will come to know if which items are material from the user's point of view and which items are immaterial from the user's point of view. The auditor shall also determine the materiality level or levels to be applied to those particular class of transaction, account balances and disclosures. So remember one thing, this last sentence which is written, are you able to see this word? What are the words written, everyone?
Classes of transactions, account balance,
Classes
disclosure.
of transactions, account balances and disclosure. We call it as ABCD. We call it as ABCD. Account balances, class of transactions and disclosure. So remember one thing, this will now come so many times in your material. Class of transaction means what? Which class of transactions are there? Either they are incomes or expenditures, assets or liabilities. Account balances means what? Whether they are being shown properly with the account balance or not. Disclosures means what? How the disclosure is being made. Tell me one thing, everyone. Installation expenditure shall be disclosed in P&L or in the balance sheet? Installation balance sheet.
Balance.
Very, because it's a revenue item or capital item.
Capital.
Capital item. It has to be added to the cost of an asset. Am I correct or not?
Yes.
Yes. So that is called disclosure, where we are disclosing it. What is the account balance and what is the class of transaction? It's a capital item. Its balance is 50 lakh rupees. Where it is to be disclosed? In the
Balance sheet.
So ABCD, we call it as ABCD. Account balances, class of transactions and disclosures, right? So what they are saying that the auditor shall determine the materiality level of ABCD. Which ABCD is material and which ABCD is immaterial. Everyone clear? Now, what is the performance materiality meaning? I told you, everyone. Please try to tell me the meaning. What do you mean by performance materiality? I told you.
Setting limit.
Setting up a limit by which we can differentiate between the which items and which items. Immaterial items and material.
Material items.
Yes or no? Yes. So everyone just give a look to this sentence and tell me, did you understand or not? Just give me 1 second if problems are there.
Sir, what is that less than materiality?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't listen to you properly. Tell me please what you were asking.
What is that less than materiality?
Less than materiality means what? The topic which is the item which is less than your limit. Did you set up a limit or not?
Yes.
Yes. So something which is less than your limit is called less material item. Are you getting the point?
Okay.
Yeah. So see, performance materiality means what, everyone? What do you mean by performance materiality? Performance materiality means the amount or amounts set up by the auditor at less than materiality for the financial statement as a whole to reduce to an appropriately low level the probability that the aggregate of uncorrected or undetected misstatements exceeds the materiality of the financial statement. It's a very simple thing. Like just now I told you, suppose there are 1 lakh invoices. Some invoices are of rupees 1000 also, and some invoices are of rupees 10 crores also. So I set up one limit, say for example 1 lakh. So I will make sure that even if there are some frauds and errors in the invoices which are less than 1 lakhs, in the invoices which are less than 1 lakhs, their aggregate effect should not materially affect the financial statement. But any fraud and error in the invoices which are more than what?
1 lakh.
1 lakh rupees are ignorable or non-ignorable?
Non-ignorable.
So that I'm not going to ignore. So basically what I did in the simplified language, if I have to tell you, performance materiality is nothing but helping you in separating the material items from what?
Non-material items.
Non-material items. It saves your time, it saves your energy, it saves your effort, it saves your efficiency, and it helps you in doing the effectively. And most importantly, timely manner. Are you getting the point? That is what the concept of what? Performance materiality, everyone. So everyone,
So-
please, Anji, boliye. Yes.
Then is sampling different from performance materiality?
Sampling is selecting the samples randomly. There you do not decide what to be selected, what not to be selected. Like say for example, right now 24 participants are there in my class. Now I don't know who is watching, who is not watching. I'm just asking somebody, please reply me. Now tell me, am I saying someone's name or I'm randomly asking someone to reply?
Randomly.
Randomly. So sampling is all about random selection, where every item in the population is having an equivalent chance of being selected. So if you are doing the sampling, it means 1,000 rupees invoice may also come in your hand, or there's a possibility that 10 crore rupees of invoice also may come in your hand when you're picking up. That is called sampling.
Okay.
Random selection. But here though we are doing some mathematical formula. What we are doing, basically here we are separating the material items from what? Immaterial. I'm setting up one limit. Over and above that is material and less than that is immaterial. So you can't call it as sampling, right or not? It is completely different concept. Right everyone?
Yes.
Yes. So read everyone. Performance materiality means amount or amounts set by the auditor at less than materiality level for the financial statement as a whole to reduce appropriately low level the probability that aggregate of uncorrected and undetected misstatement exceeds. So I am putting up a limit in such a way that even though there are frauds and errors in this area, what is this area everyone? Less material area, it should not be more than the material area. Are you getting the point? If applicable, performance materiality also refers to amount or amounts set up by the auditor at less than materiality level or levels of the particular class of transactions and balances. This is what do you mean by the concept of materiality and performance materiality, everyone. Clear everyone? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So everyone, what is the next topic we have? Use of benchmarks in determining materiality for the financial statement as a whole. What do you mean by benchmarks? Benchmarks, they are saying that what do you mean by benchmark? Benchmark means something which you set and what you want to achieve. That is what do you mean by benchmark. Determining materiality involves exercise of professional judgment. Now tell me one thing, is there any scale or is there any measurement with you by which you decide this item is material or this item is immaterial, or it is all about the professional judgment of an auditor? Professional judgment of the auditor. Nothing is more bigger than your professional judgment, everyone. Try to understand that. Are you getting the point? And professional judgment is something which gives you the better results rather than being mechanical. It's a very simple thing. Suppose there is one company where internal control system is more important to you rather than its financial statements. There are some companies where financial statements are more important to you rather than its internal control system. So remember one thing, how to decide if something is important or something is not important, that purely depends upon the professional judgment. Now let me give you one example. Suppose I went with my senior. So there are some 1,000 items in front of us. I told my senior that, sir, obviously we can't verify 1,000 items because we have only half an hour. So let's decide one sample size. my sample size was 2% and my senior's sample size was 5%. Tell me one thing. Both are correct or both are incorrect?
Both are correct based
Both are
on the
correct. Both are correct. That is my professional judgment and that is his professional judgment. He thinks that if he will verify 50 items out of 1000, he will get a clarity whether the things are true and fair or not. But I think that why to waste the time in 5%? Because 5% is also sampling, 2% is also sampling. So it's better to verify only 2% and satisfy yourself. That is my professional judgment. At any point of time, I'm not saying that my senior is wrong, but I'm saying that I am not wrong. Are you getting the point? So it's a professional judgment which helps you in deciding which is material item and which is what? Immaterial item. Percentage is oftenly applied to chosen benchmark starting point in determining the materiality of the financial statement as a whole. Factors that may affect the identification of appropriate benchmark includes the following. What do you mean by percentage? Just now I told you. What is my percentage of sample?
2%.
2%. What is my senior's percentage?
5%.
5%. So percentage is always decided by the use of which one? Professional judgment. So can I say that I made my benchmark? The moment I will reach to 2% of the population, I will stop doing the auditing. Am I correct or not? Yes. This is what do you mean by benchmarks? One is trying something. So there is a lot of mismatch between your video and audio. Is it everyone?
Yes, sir.
Now it is going fine or not going fine?
Fine, sir.
Sometimes I think some glitches might be there. That might be internet problem, some glitches in Zoom or something like that. Because I'm displaying you a very heavy file because my whole video is also coming, the mirroring is also coming, and the things are coming. That might be the reason. Sometimes glitch might be there, but I think approximately 80-90% of the time the video is going smoothly.
Yes, sir.
And the voice is also coming. There's no problem in the voice, right?
Yes, sir. No problem in voice.
Okay. Chalo, everyone, now try to understand this thing. What I'm trying to tell ki yes, materiality involves a professional judgment, and the percentage which we decide to choose a benchmark, that is also nothing but is use of the professional judgment only. Now, elements, how do we select the benchmarks now? Elements of financial statement like assets, liabilities, equity, revenue, expenditures, whether there are items on which the attention of users particular financial statement is focused, nature of the entity, industry, and the economic inventory in which the entity operates, entity's ownership structure and the way it is financed, relative volatility of benchmark. Now, these are the various factors which will help you in deciding the percentage of benchmark. Point number one. Tell me one thing, everyone. There are 600 crores of assets with my client, out of which 500 crore is inventory only. Tell me, which assets will be more focused in your checklist?
Inventory.
Inventory, as simple as that. Why? Because it is making the major part of your what? Assets. Right? Next one. What is more important from the user's point of view? Are the users interested in how many loans the client has, how many loans the company has taken, or how the company is operating? That is one side. Or are the users interested in what is the profit of the company, how much dividend will get? Tell me, as a user of financial statement, what you are interested in?
Deepness of the company.
Obviously, profits and dividend expectations only. Am I correct or not? So auditor while determining the materiality has to think from his point of view or has to think from user's point of view? User's point of view. Clear, everyone? Yes or no? Yes? Okay. Now, the next thing what we have to understand, what is the nature of the entity? What is the economic environment of the... Acha, tell me everyone, please. Bank is a which kind of entity? Bank is fully involved with own money or public money?
Public money.
Public money. So there your materiality level will be very high or not?
High.
Yes, very high. And if we'll talk about the gold industry, let's talk about the gold industry. What about the gold industry? Whether the price remains same every year, every day,
No.
or it keeps on changing?
No.
Keeps
Keeps
on
on
changing.
changing.
It's a very volatile market. Am I correct or not? It's a very volatile market. Now, tell me, which company is more better? Having more equity or having more debt, or balanced equity and balanced debt?
Balanced
Balanced.
equity.
Can anybody give me the answer? Why having a debt is also good for the company?
No.
See, it's a very
Because
simple thing. When you have your total equity, equity means no loans. That is your own capital only. What happens on the equity? You pay dividend to your shareholders. But my question is, can you debit the dividend to the P&L account?
No.
No, you cannot debit the dividend to the which account? P&L account.
P&L account.
But can you debit the interest to the loan to the P&L account?
Yes.
Yes. So which one is your business expenditure, everyone? Interest.
Interest.
And when you debit the interest to your P&L account, are you getting the tax saving at the rate of 30% or not?
Yes.
Yes. So having a debt is also important for the company, and having a equity is also important for the company. Therefore, what kind of ownership structure my client is having, that also matters a lot while deciding the materiality factor. Remember one thing, when we decide the materiality, what is important, what is not important, these are the 5 factors you have to understand. Factor number 1, everyone, elements of financial statement.
Financial
Factor,
statement.
factor number 2, which items are going to draw the attention of whom?
Users.
Factor number 3, what is the nature of my entity, what is the industry, and what is the environment of my client? Factor number 4, what is my entity's which structure?
Ownership
Structure.
structure.
And factor number
Cost.
5, the relative volatility of the benchmark. Whether that benchmark will remain constant or it will keep on
Changing.
So this
Sir?
is how, yes.
When we say high level of materiality, what does it exactly mean?
High
Like,
level of materiality means this item is completely unignorable, and users are 120% interested in checking what this item results into. That is what
okay.
you mean by high level of materiality. Means highly important, highly significant.
No, I mean setting high materiality level. What does that?
High materiality, setting high materiality level means what? Ki you are setting an item to a higher level. Means say for example,
Bringing maximum
Big
population into
yes,
consideration.
bringing maximum things into your coverage.
Okay.
Yeah, that is what you mean by high level of materiality.
Okay.
Yeah, anyone is having any kind of doubt, please ask us. No issues. In the class, if you'll ask us, we also find it better that yes, some doubts are coming, so that we'll be having a discussion. Or kya ho jata, sir, when the doubts comes na, so there will be a more discussion of something which you do not discuss over a regular period of teaching you. You know, because I have to think of more examples to tell you in that case. That's the reason I always in favor of raising the doubts in the class. So I hope everyone is clear with this topic so far.
Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
Okay, now examples of appropriate benchmarks dependent upon the entity's circumstances. Examples of benchmark. What are the examples of the benchmark they're giving you? Let me just see. Some points are. Determination, a percentage to be applied to. Okay, materiality level or level of particular tasks, revision in materiality, documenting material. I think we'll be in a position to complete this chapter by today. So, examples of appropriate benchmarks dependent upon entity's performance. What kind of benchmarks? Profit before tax is one benchmark, total revenue is one benchmark, gross profit is one benchmark, and total assets, total equity or net asset value. Say for example, you know one chapter is there called ratio analysis in your portion, in your
Yes, sir.
financial management.
Yes, sir.
Yes. What do we do generally in the ratio analysis chapter? Tell me everyone.
Try
Do
to.
yeah, do we calculate the various accounting ratios?
Yes.
Okay, if I'm calculating the debtor turnover ratio, what do you mean by that, everyone? If I'm calculating debtors turnover ratio, what do you mean about that?
The number of, I mean, the amount of data with respect to the cost of goods sold or the sales and credit sales.
Okay. Now, what is the answer of that? The answer comes in number of days, am I correct? What is the
Yes,
answer?
sir.
Yes. So that means ki if I'm making a sale to my debtor, within that many days I'm able to recover the money from him. Am I correct or not?
Yes.
Yes. So creditor turnover में कि within that many days I generally make the payment to my creditor. Yes or no? Yes. So GP ratio means what? Ki this is the gross profit. So remember one thing, these are known as benchmarks. Tell me one thing, you might have heard about ki current assets by current liability of any company should not be less than 1.33 is to 1. Somewhere in the ratio analysis chapter written that okay, what is the standard current ratio of every company? 1.33 is to 1. Am I correct
Yes,
or not?
sir.
Yes.
Yes,
And
sir.
what is the standard debt by equity ratio of a company? 2 is to 1.
2 is to 1.
Yes. So these are nothing but called benchmarks only. Now, if there is one company which is having 6 is to 1 debt by equity ratio, what do you understand by that? If it is 6 by 1.
Times of
6
Yes.
times
So can I say that their debts are 6 times their equity,
yes.
and that is good for the company or bad for the
No.
company?
Bad.
bad for the
Because
company.
it means company's complete operations are dependent upon outside funds. Am I correct or not?
Yes.
And the moment the outsiders will take away their funds, company will be into the loss making position. That's why. So these are known as benchmarks, everyone. तो benchmarks का मतलब क्या होता है? Setting one standard. Like performance materiality में हमने एक benchmark बनाया था कि any invoice less than 1 lakh I'm not going to verify, more than 1 lakh I'm going to verify. So benchmarks can be made in equity, it can be made in assets, gross profit, expenditures, total revenue, profit. So these are the some of the examples of what? Benchmark. Clearly, everyone? Yes. Now, in relation to chosen benchmarks, relevant financial data ordinarily includes what? Prior period financial results and financial position. Now, tell me one thing. Say, for example, there is my client and it's been 5 years. He's having a current ratio of 3 is to 1 average. What is the current ratio? Current assets by current liabilities. So current assets by current liabilities of my client of last 5 years is 3 is to 1. Can anybody tell me what do you mean by that? Ki my client in the last 5 years had 3 rupees in his pocket as an asset to pay the 1 rupee of liability. Now that shows a good liquidity or poor liquidity?
Good liquidity.
Strong liquidity. Am I correct or not? Now, in the 2021 financial year, everyone, in the 2021 financial year, his current ratio is 2 is to 1. Now tell me, the last 5 years benchmark is how much?
3 is to 1.
3 is to 1. What is the current year current ratio?
2 is to 1.
So tell me one thing, is he going up or down?
Down.
Down. This is how you come to know where the liquidity side of your client is going down. So remember one thing, benchmarks are dependent upon your, read the point number 1, prior periods financial results and financial position. So I saw the last 5 years financial position and did one average of that, set up one benchmark to so that I can understand कि current year में whether my client is doing well or not. Am I correct or not? Yes. So this is what do you mean by how do you set up the benchmark? Forecast, budgets for the current period adjusted for the significant changes in circumstance. Everyone, please tell me, have you heard of project reports? What do you mean by project report? If someone is an article student, he can easily tell me what do you mean by project report. Project report is something which we make for a client and we offer this to banks when the client is looking for the loans from the banks. Am I correct or not? So basically, what do you mean by project report? Project report includes the past performance of the client, present performance of the client, and future performance of the client. Am I correct or not? Now tell me one thing. The future performance of the client is can be called it as a forecast or not? Yes. What do you mean by forecast? It means in the project report, I'm telling to the bank that if you will give this loan to my client, in the future, he is going to have that much of turnover, that much of profits, and that much business operations. But future is certain or uncertain?
Uncertain.
Uncertain. But are we still setting up the benchmarks or not?
Yes.
Yes. So remember one thing, this is what you have to understand. Benchmarks can be set on various different matters. Or there are so many ideas by which you can make a benchmark everyone. Now, materiality level or levels for particular class of transactions, account balances and disclosures. Remember one thing, how do you decide what should be the materiality level of ABCD? Everyone, please tell me what is ABCD?
Account balances.
Account balances,
Class
class
of
of
transactions
transactions,
and disclosures.
disclosure.
Yes. How do you decide what is the materiality level for ABCD? That we are going to understand. We are going to understand some laws and we are going to understand some factors for that. Factors, now read this point, everyone. Factors that may indicate the existence of one or more particular class of transaction, account balances, disclosures, which misstatement of lesser amount than the materiality for the financial statement as a whole could reasonably be expected to influence the economic decision of user taken on the basis of financial statement includes the following. Now, what are those factors which will help us in deciding what is material in the ABCD and what is not material in the ABCD? Point number one, whether the law, regulation, or applicable FRF affect users' expectations regarding the measurement or disclosure of certain items like related party transactions. Now, everyone, please tell me, anybody is having an idea about section number 188? I'll tell you. What is section number 188? Section number 188 talks about related party transactions. Are you getting the point? Now, you know what the law is saying? Law says that the auditor does not have any problem with the related party transaction. First of all, tell me, guys, what do you mean by related party transaction? A transaction between the holding and subsidiary. Are they related parties or not?
Yes.
Yes, that is called related party transaction. Now listen to this very point carefully. Laws under section 188 says that auditor does not have any problem if the related party transaction is going on. No problem. If it is done at ALP. What is ALP? Arm's length price, everyone. Now, what do you mean by arm's length price? Say, for example, when the holding company is selling the goods to the outsiders, it is charging 600 rupees per kg. Same goods, when it is charging to selling to its subsidiary, it is charging 600 rupees per kg. Now, tell me whether the holding is making any difference between outsider and subsidiary now?
No.
No. So that is called arm's length price. But when the holding is selling to its subsidiary at 400 rupees per kg, now tell me whether the holding is making any favor. How much is the favor? 200 rupees per kg. Now in that case, is it a transaction or related party transaction? Yes. But at arm's length price or non-arm's length price?
Not an arm's length price.
In that case, section number 188 says that the auditor should have seen whether the board resolution is passed or not and audit committee permission has been taken or not. Now, this is the benchmark which is set up by the law. Now, tell me, here auditor set up one benchmark or law has set up the benchmark?
Law has said.
Yes, the law is saying that do the transactions at arm's length price, take the board resolution, take the audit committee resolution, no problem at all. That is what the law is saying. Am I correct or not? Yes,
sir.
that is what the law is saying. So this is what we have to understand here. Ki sometimes materiality levels are not always correct to say that it is decided by the auditor. Sometimes the law and sometimes the regulations will decide the materiality level. Crystal clear, everyone? Yes, everyone? Okay. Now, second thing. Key disclosures in relation to the industry in which the entity operates. Example, R&D cost for the pharmaceutical industry. Very simple question I'm going to ask you. You might have seen that due to the pandemic situation of COVID-19, tell me everyone, every pharmaceutical company is making the which medicine?
COVID-19.
COVID-19 medicine. Now say for example, Serum India Limited, one of the biggest pharmaceutical company, they made up the COVID-19 medicine by doing the R&D. What is R&D? Research and development. They spent 1600 crore rupees on developing this medicine of COVID-19. This was the first company which developed this particular medicine of COVID-19. Now listen to this whole example. Now Ranbaxy Laboratories is also developing the COVID-19 vaccine. They spent 2800 crores on R&D. My question is 2800 crores more than 1600 crores?
Yes.
Yes. So what is the benchmark? Tell me,
1600.
1600 crores. Now tell me, the first company which made the COVID-19 medicine with the 1600 crores, it has already set up a benchmark for the expenditures of R&D. Means if you will do the R&D of 1600 crores in a correct way, in a correct direction, you can definitely make a COVID-19 medicine successfully. But Ranbaxy, how much they spent?
2008.
Okay. Now there is another company called Dr. Reddy's Laboratory. They spent 1200 crores and made a medicine successfully. Now tell me, what is our new benchmark?
1200.
1200 crores means 1200 crores is our new benchmark. It means now the COVID-19 medicine can be made with the 1200 crore rupees also. Are you understanding what I'm trying to tell?
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to tell that setting up a benchmark is very
But it
important.
depends on the ideas, no, sir.
Sorry?
Depends upon the ideas and the
It's not about the ideas, it's about the industry now. When the industry called pharmaceutical industry is saying that,
comparing our
sorry, your voice is not clear.
why we are comparing one company to another company.
Company, we are not comparing company to company, my friend. I'm talking about the industry now.
What is
Huh? The use is ki now ki this company might have spent more than what is required because R&D expenditure directly goes to the debit side of your P&L account. And when it goes to the debit side of your P&L account, do you have to pay the tax on that or no tax on that? Tell me. No tax on that. So in that case, it means you are doing the tax saving of 30%. Tell me, what is the 30% tax saving in case of 1600? It is 480 crores. What is the 30% tax saving in case of 2800? It is approximately 840 crores. And what is the tax saving in case of 1200? 30%. It is 360 crores. Now tell me, where the loss of the revenue to the government is more?
2800.
Where the loss, yes, 2800. So government is losing its tax revenue or not? So government will give the preference to which company? Tell me.
yes.
Dr. Reddy's Laboratory. It will give the preference to the Dr. Reddy's Laboratory. Why? Because Dr. Reddy's Laboratory is able to make the same medicine at 1200 cost of R&D only. So government पूरा contract उसको देगी. First of all, the revenue also coming at the same point of time. Cheaper cost means cheaper price of the medicine in the market or not?
Yes, sir.
So these are so many factors. These are so many factors which you have to consider while doing the benchmarking, everyone. So what is the factor number 2, everyone? Read the factor number 2. The key disclosures in relation to the industry in which the entity operates. I never said about company. I'm saying that I'm standing the benchmark for the industry. So when the industry is able to make the medicine at 1200 crores, then why can't you make it? It means all the future companies have to make sure that okay, their R&D cost should not be more than what? How much? 1200 crores. Otherwise, you will not get any kind of benefit from the government. That is what I'm trying to tell. Clear, everyone? So how do we determine the materiality level? We determine the materiality level on the basis of law and on the basis of key disclosures in relation to the industry. What is the next one? Third one. When attention is focused on a particular aspect of entity's business that is separately disclosed in the financial statement, a newly acquired business. Now, say for example, um, suppose Airtel has acquired Vodafone. Let's say, for example, just an imaginary example, Airtel has acquired Vodafone at 500 crore rupees. Now, Jio wants to acquire at Idea company. Now, Vodafone and Idea are approximately same companies when it comes to network coverage, when it comes to customer base, and when it comes to the financials. But Jio paid 600 crore rupees while acquiring the Idea. Now tell me, Jio paid more than market price or less than market price?
More than
More than market price. When the same company acquired by the Airtel, it paid only 500 crore rupees. So what was the setting up a benchmark in this case? Tell me.
500 crores.
500 crores. So that is what the point number 3 is saying. Whether the attention is focused on a particular aspect of entity's business that is separately disclosed in the financial statement, a newly acquired business. So materiality levels or the levels for a particular transactions depend upon the 3 factors, everyone. What are the 3 factors? Laws and regulations, the industry in which you operate, and the special focus on the particular aspects of the entity's business, everyone. And one very important everything, guys, please tell me, planning remains constant or it keeps on changing? Same, acha. And materiality and planning are separable or inseparable? Inseparable. So when the planning keeps on changing, whether your materiality also will keep on changing or not? Tell me, when the Serum India Limited made the COVID-19 medicine at 1600 crore rupees, what was our benchmark? 1600 crores. But when the Dr. Reddy's laboratory made the same medicine at 1200 crores, now what is our benchmark? So tell me whether materiality also keeps on changing or not?
Yes.
Yes, so that is what is written in front of you, revision in materiality level as the audit progresses. So because materiality is also decided with the planning and materiality are both after the commencement of the audit or before commencement of an audit.
Before commencement the audit.
So it may keep on changing when we actually do the audit. Am I correct or not? Yes or no? Yes. So materiality for the financial statement, materiality for the financial statement as a whole for the ABCD may need to be revised as a result of change in what circumstances occurred during the year. For example, a decision to dispose a major part of entity's business, new information, change in the auditor's understanding of the entity and its operation as a result of performing further procedure. Now, I thought that before starting off an audit, I thought that the 500 crores of fixed assets are there out of total 700 crores of what? Assets. So 500 crore is a major item or not?
Major.
Yes, major item. I thought that this is definitely a material item which I'm going to verify. But when I actually entered the client's place, they are saying that out of those 500 crores of assets, 480 crores of assets are taken on lease. So when you have taken the assets on lease, is it your assets or somebody's assets?
Somebody is
Somebody's asset. It means you are paying the lease rent. So tell me one thing, whether my importance changed now or not? Yes. So it all depends upon what kind of unexpected situations which are going to come to you, and accordingly your materiality also will change as and when your planning will change, because materiality and planning are connected with each other. Clear, everyone? If the auditor concludes that lower materiality for the financial statement as a whole then that initially determined is appropriate, the auditor shall determine whether it is necessary to revise the performance materiality and whether the nature, timing, and extent of further audit procedures remain appropriate or not. So it is simply they are saying in this paragraph that if the materiality is changing either upwards or either downwards, whether our nature, timing, and extent of our audit procedures also will remain same or it will change.
It will change.
Yes, first I thought that I will go to the factory and I will verify all the fixed assets by doing the physical inspection. But now when I came to know that 90% of their assets are not their own, they are taken on lease. Now do I need to go to the factory or verify the lease agreement papers?
Lease agreement.
So tell me, my audit procedure and techniques remained same or it changed?
Changing.
Changed, right or not? And last but not the least, documenting the materiality. What do you mean by documenting, everyone? What do you mean by documenting? Documenting means writing. Yeah, put it in writing. Now, because this year's materiality not necessarily to be same next year, but very near to next year or not?
Yes.
Yes. So, what are the things we should document? Materiality for the financial statement as a whole, you have to document. Materiality for the ABCD, you have to document. Means what? There are two types of materiality, everyone. One is materiality for the whole financial statements, and one is a materiality for the ABCD. What is ABCD? Account balances, class of transactions,
class of
and
transactions, disclosure.
disclosures. What is the second point? Second point is performance materiality. What is the third point? Sorry, you also should document your performance materiality and any revision of A to C as progress. Now, what do you mean by revision? Changes may come or not?
Come.
Yes. So you can write changes, any changes in that. And point number E, can I write one extra point? Reasons for changes?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So all these things you need to do what? We need to document, everyone. With that, our another small standard called SA 320 also got over. So tell me, everyone, how many standards we are done with? We're done with 200, 210, 220. We're done with 300, 320. So 5 standards plus 2 chapters are already over. Clear, everyone? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, everyone. So I'll do one thing. Actually, sir told me that you have a class in the evening also today.
Yes, sir.
At what time to what time?
3 to 8.
So I'll make sure that I will not spoil your Sunday to that extent. So I will leave the class now only, and tomorrow we are going to start with a fresh chapter. Okay, tomorrow onwards the timings are going to be different, and sir is going to intimate you regarding that. Okay, guys.
Okay.
Chalo. Thank you so much, everyone, for lending your patient ears in the early morning, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay, bye bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All the very best for your FM class. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, sir.